Can I have the backdrop, please?
You're muted, Milo.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you. I'm a new person here, I guess. So anyway, okay, here we go. Let me get this started. Here we go. Y'all ready? ONPASSIVE MILO Joe is here today. You don't want to miss a single word they say. Bringing you founders from a near and far. Listen as they tell you now just who they are. Listen to the stories and how they tell. In just 3 minutes how it's doing well. Telling us what it's all about today. And how they are loving that ONPASSIVE way. ONPASSIVE, it's a here today. ONPASSIVE, there's just no better way. Listen to the ONPASSIVE MILO show. So then you can be the very first to know. ONPASSIVE, it's a here today. ONPASSIVE MILO show is coming your way Saturday. ONPASSIVE, oh yeah. Take it away, Milo. That's funny. All right. Thank you so much for being on the show, because remember, if you was not here, there would be no show. And just thankful to be back today. I've been gone for 2 weeks, but what a great experience I had being able to go away, and everything was run just so smooth. And I'd like to thank Miss Lynn Nakamoto. She helped do that. Lynn, come down and say something to us.
Hi, everybody. We missed Milo. We missed you, Milo, so much. But we did it without you for 2 weeks, but no more. You have to come back and stay, okay?
All right. Thank you.
We love
Thank you. Thank you, Lynn. Love you too. Thanks for all you do. And Mr. John Barilla, who takes care of the chat, and he was actually a host on this show. Come on down, John, and say something to us.
Okay. Hi. I was actually answering a question in the chat. I went, oh, let me get back there. He's gonna call. Hey, how are you? It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to help out. I really enjoyed myself. So glad to have you back.
All right. Thank you. And of course, the guy who makes it all happen in the back office and stuff, Mr. Marty DeGarmo. Marty, come down and say something to us, brother. So
Hey, everybody did a great job, Milo. And you know what? What you were doing is building memories, man. There's nothing more valuable than that, because that's all we have at the end, right? So you be in with family, so that's cool. I'm glad you're back.
Absolutely, Marty. That was great, man. I was down there, and with my brothers and all our family. We had a family reunion, and then of course I went to a lakefront home, or lake home, I guess it is, on Toledo Bend, and spent time with a bunch of artists and musicians. We sat around and we played, and we had such a great time. And then I went back to Shreveport on Saturday for the big show at the Louisiana Hayride, right where Elvis used to be, where he came up, and so many of them came up, Hank Williams and all of them, and they were trying to bring that old stuff back. But incredible, the people that were there. I got to visit with George Jones's wife. I got to visit with Linda Davis, with Gene Watson, with Kiss an Angel, Good Morning, Charlie, I can't think of his name. Charlie Pride.
Charlie Pride.
That's right. Charlie Pride, and his brother was there. Of course, Charlie's gone, but his brother was there. He was incredible, So I just had such a good time. But I got to tell you, I did miss the family here. I did think about you guys, and I did watch the shows. I got a little bit of them in, but it was a little bit later, and then I come in and do it. Is Jeannie here? Is Jeannie here today? Do you see Jeannie? Because she did a great job on the show also.
Milo, Jean just left a message. I got a message from her. She's helping a friend today. She said, good luck to everybody and good to have you back, but she's not going to make it today.
Awesome. Well, she did a great job. also, so anyway, let's get right on to the show. Guess who the special guest is today? It's me. It's Milo. We're going to be talking today. I wanted to talk. I wanted to come on and talk. I love what's happening with ONPASSIVE right now. But I know that, and we've been saying it for a long time on this show. Hey, what are you going to do with your apples? What are you going to do with it? I want to tell a little bit. I'm going to go into some depth about my life that you haven't heard before. So believe me, you might. There's things that maybe you didn't know about me that I'm gonna bring out today, and we're gonna go into. I want people to start thinking about how you've been blessed. What is your take on it? What are you thinking about doing maybe down the road with your apples? I think we need a goal. We need to know in advance, because I don't think, even myself, my little small mind cannot comprehend this big thing. It's so big that I just can't comprehend it all. Okay, so what I would like to, I'm just going to start out and tell you a little of my life story. So I grew up as a Pentecostal preacher's son, and so don't hold that against me. I know we're never good. Those preachers' kids are bad, but anyway, I had fun my whole life. I am a person that I always see the bright side of things, and whatever I go through, it's something that I go through. But if I didn't go through it, if I didn't have those bad days, I would never have the good days. Wouldn't even know what they were, right? We would never know what. And I do believe that a lot of things in life are all about perspective. It's how you deal with it. It's what you do. So as a young boy, I got married right out of high school. I had a chance to go to college. I didn't take it. I said, nope, I want to get married. And it was mainly because I wanted to get out on my own. And I got out and I started making babies right away. I had two daughters. I got two wonderful, beautiful daughters that just think the world of me, and I think the world of them. And now I've got grandkids and stuff, but I've worked my whole life, and I've always been one that was able to kind of go to the top more or less. Even as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, right out of high school, I remember going and taking a job. They asked me if I wanted to be a steward, a union steward. And I said, well, what does that mean, an alternate? And they said, well, it means you get to be second in seniority. I said, man, that sounds like a good deal. So, of course, I took it. So I went right to the top right away, So things like that, I've been very blessed in my life with things that I've done. Then I became a salesman, and I started selling because I like to talk. I don't know if you knew that or not, but I do like to talk. And so I become a salesman, and I always did well at whatever I did. I got into a lot of these, MLM, network marketing, and I always did good, but other people didn't. And so I was ready to give that up. But in 2007, I had a corporate come to me, and they wanted me to take a spot to be a salesman for them. I've never been a person that's all about the money. I could have made more money elsewhere, but if it didn't feel right to me, or if I didn't think it ethically, if I don't believe in something, I'm not doing it. That's just the way I am. So in 2007, they wanted me to take this job. And at the time I was considered, they called me Mr. Glenlord, because I'd been at this job selling building products to these large homes on the lakefront home. Well, I had my people, my builders that would only buy from me. And this company really wanted into that market, but they couldn't get there because MILO was there. So they come to me and wanted me to go. And at the time, things were starting to deteriorate a little at the other company. So I ended up going with them. That was in October of 2007. My world, I was on top of the world. I had a beautiful brand new home, 35,000 or 3,500 square foot home. The basement, I had a big room in it that I could put 60 people in. I had a stage down there with microphones, 2 pianos, and we were having the time of our life. My first grandson was born, and shortly after that, I was getting ready to head to Orlando, Florida for a building conference. First time with this new company, I had 13 builders that was going with me to the International Building Conference, and the CEO was going to be there. My wife, who had never been sick a day in her life, never. I mean, and that, you know, she just, if she took an aspirin, I bet she didn't take more than 5 or 6. She never was on no pills, nothing. She exercised every day. She was in great shape, you know, and she would talk to me about the way I ate sometimes, but she wasn't too bad about that. But anyway, 2008, February 13th of 2008, I remember going into she said that the doctor wanted to see her, you know, and we were headed out on the 14th. We were supposed to fly to Orlando for this big meeting. And so I remember going into the doctor's office, and it was an oncologist. I said, why do they got to have an oncologist see? You know, well, I don't know. And I was in my world, and I wasn't really, I don't know if I was really connected as much as I should have been. And the girls wanted to go with us. I said, why did they got to go? She said, I don't know. She said, just let them go, you know. And she was always the one that was just really sweet about everything, and I was high strung. Remember walking into the doctor's office, and he walked in, he said, well, he said, Peggy, he says, I'm glad to see you have a good support system here. He said, because he says, you might need it. He said, depending how this test goes, your white blood cells are way low, and it's possible that it's just something with the test. But if not, we're going to have to do something quickly. You know, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, whatever, you know. And so he did the test. They pulled the test out. I'll never forget. And I hope none of you, honestly, if you've been through it, I hope none of you ever have to go through it. I remember sitting in that room and that doctor coming in, and he walked in very slowly, and he closed that door behind him. And that door was just like a big door, and it shut, you know. And he said, Peggy, he says, I'm sorry to tell you, but he says, you have cancer, leukemia. Now, at first, my first reaction was, yeah, okay, so we'll get a second opinion or whatever. And so I told the doctor this, and he says, well, he said, Mr. Davis, he said, I don't think you understand. He said, this is acute leukemia. And he says, you don't have time. And I said, well, we're going to Florida, and when we get back. And then he said something that just hit me right between the eyes. He says, if you take her to Florida, he said, I don't think you'll be coming back with her. And I said, what do you mean? And so then he told me, our lives that day changed. Honestly, that was the, you know, there was nothing I could do. For the first time in my life, I think, there was not a thing I could do, because I was always one that I either had the money or I knew someone who knew how to change things. I could get situations done. But at that point, you know what? There was nothing I could do. It was all about health at that point, you know. And so he told me, he says, you have to go to the, I'm trying to watch my time here. You got to go to the hospital up in Chicago, you know. And so we ended up going up the next day. I didn't sleep at all that night. I was watching Jimmy Swaggart on TV, or no, it was Gaithers on TV, and a song came on that said, hold me while I cry. And I says, man, how did that get on the TV? That's just what I need. And it was this most beautiful song that I'd ever heard, you know. And I'm into Southern gospel music, and I've never heard this song. And I said, how can this be that I don't even know what it is? So I said, I'm sure it's a brand new song. It's never been played before. So I grabbed my computer. I jumped on my computer, I looked it up. You know, it had been out for like 4 or 5 years, and I had never heard that song till that moment that I needed it. I'll tell you what, I played that song for like 6 or 8 hours. I did not go to sleep that night. All I did was play Hold Me While I Cry because it was such a beautiful song and it meant so much to me at that time. I remember getting ready to go. We had to go to Chicago the next day. I started the car. I locked my keys in the car. It was cold out. And so I had to call and get a key made. And I'm just really frustrated about all this stuff. And I'm thinking, man, my wife's got cancer. And I remember going up down the road, and it was not nice that day. And I'm looking over at people and I'm thinking, you know, they were smiling. And I'm thinking to myself, man, my wife's got cancer. I remember walking into the hospital, that long hospital hall, and people would smile and laugh at me or whatever. And I'm thinking, man, my wife's got cancer. You don't know it, but my wife's got cancer, you know. And we walked into the big room where the cancer people were. It was all cancer people in there. And I seen people with hats on, people with, you know, no hair, and they're laughing and they're talking. And I'm thinking, man, if you guys only knew, my wife's got cancer. Bam, something hit me upside the head and says, guess what, dummy? All these people do too. You know, and it changed my life. It's almost like a community. I'm telling you, when you deal with cancer and stuff, there was a quote that I read once that says, if it wasn't for the bad side of cancer, everybody should experience it. And you know, it's so true because right now, I'll tell you what, if you can breathe, you can go like that, you can breathe, and you're living and you're healthy, you should be the happiest person in the world because there is nothing better than health. Health is better than wealth. Health is, you know, you just can't replace it. So as we go on, I'll quickly go through this here, but I want to tell you a couple things that happened. So in 2008, she became the poster child of the Cancer Association. You know, and they run ads and they did. She was on newspaper and she was on TV, and you know, she just had this great outlook on life. You know, and I remember walking in the cancer place before, and she says, "Man, I am the luckiest person in the world." She says, "Here I am, 50 years old." And she said, "Look at that girl over there. I bet she's not 30, and I bet she's got kids at home." She said, "My kids are grown." She says, "I am so lucky that this didn't hit me." So everything to her was so positive about it. And you know, I remember, so that was in 2008. She worked for a corporate insurance company, and you know, they just treated her so well. I worked for a lumber company. They treated me wonderful. You know, I never left her side. I stayed right by her side. I would do my work from there. And guess what? The guys still bought their lumber from me, and I still made commission. And this is a beautiful thing about ONPASSIVE. You know, when you get into it and you realize that, hey, once you start making those commissions every month that they buy something, it's yours. You know, and it's a beautiful thing. And so in moving forward to, she got a little bit better, you know, and she got feeling better. She actually went back to work because she loved her job. They made special provisions for her that if she couldn't do it all day, she had a place to sit down, lay down, or whatever. And they just wanted her there because she was such a bright outlook. In 2010, we went back to the doctor, and I'll never forget this. He said, "Peggy," he said, "the cancer's back." And I remember her looking at him because they had told her the first in 2008, her diagnosis was 10 days to 10 months is all she was to live, you know. And that's because it was a special kind of cancer, 1621 translocation, and only 19, she was the 19th person in the world to have it. And no one had lived longer than 10 months. So that's why it was a 10-day, 10-month. 2010, I remember the doctor saying that, and she looked at him and she said, well, she laughed and she says, "How long I got to live now, doc?" And the doctor said, "Man, Peggy," he said, I'm just so sorry about this," because she had been saying she didn't want to do no more chemo. She didn't want to do anything. And he says, I honestly don't know. He says, I know that if you don't take any kind of treatments, I'm not sure you'll be here Friday. And I remember her mouth dropping open. And she said, well, what if I take it? He said, well, he said, if you take it, he says, I don't have a golden thing to tell you what it could be, but I think you would get at least 6 months. Peggy said, let's do it. As long as you'll stop if I tell you to. He said, absolutely. So Dr. John was going to start her on the thing. And we walked out of the hall, and old Milo had his head hanging down. And he's thinking, man, I've only got 6 months possibly with my wife. And Peggy was always the kind of, she would jump around. She was the life of every party. And she hit me upside my arm and she says, hey, big boy. I said, yeah. She pointed at herself. She says, I got 6 months to live. How long you got? I said, Peggy, that's not fair. That's not even funny. She said, I didn't mean it to be funny. She said, I got 6 months to live. How long you got? I said, I don't know. Nobody told me. You know, that's the truth of it. We could walk out, we could get hit by a car and whatever. We don't know how long we got to live, you know. And she was making a point and she said, can we just live life to the fullest? I said, absolutely, darling. I said, whatever you want to do, we can do. In 2010, I won a trip for sales to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. She wanted to go. She ended up going with me. She talked the doctor into letting her go because he said he couldn't tell her what to do. So to her, that meant she could go. 2011, we ended up going to Dominican Republic. I won a trip there. In 2012, right before she passed away, we went up to Mackinac. And she lived life to the fullest, and she taught me so much about living life, and she was an inspiration to me, you know. But I say all that to say this, you know, sometimes in life, we have to, you know, look at whatever we're going through, and we have to look at that in perspective and change it. But I will tell you that none of us have ever experienced what we are fixing to experience and the life we are going to experience. And we're all going to have different passions. Every one of us is going to have a different passion in our life of what we want to do with our apples. And I think it's important for us to start thinking at this point about goals, about what do we want to do when this comes about, because it is coming about. It's just a matter of when. It will be here. Promise you it will be here, and we have to be ready for it when it comes. Because I like to say sometimes, you know, those apples start coming in, and the cool thing is it's not like the lottery. The lottery, you could win that $1 million thing, whatever it is right now, and you know what, that's a set amount of money. And guess what, as you take away from it, what happens? It's gone. It's gone. What happens with ONPASSIVE? You take away from it and you send it out, and it brings a whole lot more back in, and you send it out more and it brings even more back in. That is the cool thing about ONPASSIVE. And once we learn that and we realize we want to be ready, so when the time comes, we take care of whatever our needs are, but then we go ahead and we help other people out. And that's what I want to talk about today, you know, is what are your goals? What are your goals? Have you thought about it? What are you going to do with your money? What are you going to do? Who are you going to help? How are you going to help them? Things like that. So I would like to open this up and talk to you and talk with everyone about that, you know, and we can discuss it, you know, how is things? What is it, you know? So I'm ready for hands. I guess I've did my story. My wife passed on. She told me, live life to the fullest. You enjoy life. And guess what? I am doing it. I have never been more happy in my life. You know, I'm just excited about what's coming up. And like I tell people, when I had COVID, I said, if I leave tomorrow, I want every one of you to know that I've been the most blessed man in the world. There is no one that's been more blessed than I have. The people I know, And even this ONPASSIVE family. I mean, I look at the ONPASSIVE family and I think, man, I got thousands and thousands of people around the world that I know and that I've been blessed to know. And when I can sit down and talk with people, I'm just excited. If my daughters are in town and I get to sing with them, I'm excited as can be, you know. It's just all about, you know, living and loving life. All right, I see a hand up. Miriam, come on down.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Okay, what I want to do to help people is I want it to be practical as far as I'm concerned. Right now, gas is high. It's hard to get food because of the prices. So one of my ideas is to get gas cards. Um, give out gas cards to help. Get Walmart cards to help people with groceries or if they need to get clothes for their kids. They need to get shoes, whatever they need to do. Those are the kind of things I want to help with. My husband, who passed away in 2020, Mark wore a prosthetic. It got to where things get expensive. Not everybody has insurance. Um, things like this to help people that can't afford to get the things that they need. Those are the kind of things that I want to do. The Go to the companies where you get the prosthetics, where you get those pieces, and maybe donate so much money so when somebody comes in and they need something, but they don't have Medicare or Medicaid or private insurance, that they'll have a fund that the person can still get the help they need. People can get the groceries or the clothes they need for their family. They can get groceries without having to worry that the prices are too high. They have gas cards to where they can get gas and know that there's somebody out there that cares about them. And it's giving people hope, kind of like what I said last night. It's giving people hope and letting them know that we care. They have to know that we care. And that's what's important to me.
Absolutely, that's beautiful, Miriam. And let me just let me bring up something here that maybe you haven't thought about. But when you talk about you know the prosthetics and different people, different funds and different things like that, have you thought about maybe setting up a say if you've got a place you start you put money into a spot for them, and then that grows. And as people take out, you keep adding to it, and they maybe will then add to that. You know, they could buy a spot underneath that prosthetic help or anyone that wants to do that. And all of a sudden, it becomes a big fund that people will be able to take out of it, and it will support them. And you know, the thing about it is a lot of these people, like I know with cancer, and I'm going to do this with cancer, is when you have cancer, people don't realize what you go through as a person. You know, how you go through, and maybe you have to decide between making the house mortgage this month or buying the medicines you need. Nobody should have to make that decision. So what if my thing is anyone going through cancer, I'm going to have a fund that I buy them a spot, and then you know, that's going to continually pay them over the month after month after month, you know, or day after day even, you know, which will relieve a lot of that pressure off of that person. Something to think about. But I love your heart. I love what you're doing. You know, it's going to be a good thing. And the same way with the groceries and funds and stuff. If you happen to be out and you see someone that looks like that they might need it, or you know someone that needs it, you know, buy them a spot, and all of a sudden, you know, they start making it. So we can give them a fish, which is money. You know, we can give them a fish, but we can teach them to fish by giving them that thing. And the truth of it is once you buy just one little small part, say if you bought O-Net, say if they bought the O-Net, well, they're watching their wallet and they're getting money off O-Net, but all of a sudden, you know, they got $800 in here for Academy. but it costs $80. It's a pretty easy decision to take $80 and put it in so you get the 800 out. You know what I'm saying? So all of these things are beautiful things, you know, that we're going to be able to do. But I love your heart and how you want to help people. And I think that's a true ONPASSIVian, you know, is we're not about the money. It's all about helping other people, I believe. So I love your heart. Thank you, Miriam, for coming down. Let me see. We got Mr. Tony Monk from Canada. Come on down, brother.
Hi, Milo. That was an amazing story that you told us. Wow, very heartfelt story. I had a tear in my eye. But now you've got your family, you've got your daughters all singing with you. Your wife is up there looking down, smiling, and saying, "Right on, Milo. You're living your life to the fullest," which is the way it should be, right? Yeah, it's amazing. ONPASSIVE is amazing. It's going to give us the resources financially and everything we need to make a big difference in the world, a big, huge difference in the world. One of the things I'm going to do with my with the apples that come in to begin with, I found out 3 years ago that I had a daughter. I didn't know I had a daughter. This daughter of mine has 6 kids of her own. Right, so I've got 6 grandkids. 17. I think the oldest is 17 years old, so it ages me. But that's one of the first things I'm going to do is have a family reunion. Like Ash said, you know, look after yourself first. Make sure that you know, everything's taken care of personally, and then you can help on a much grander scale. And I'm really looking forward to helping a lot of places like, you know, rural places in the world that need water and schools and just the basic needs that we all take for granted. You know what I'm saying, Milo? So those things are very important as far as I'm concerned. I had a friend of mine who also passed away in 2016. It was my best friend that died of cancer. It's a horrible thing to go through. If you've never been through it, to see it, I don't wish that on my worst enemy. It's not a pretty sight, believe me. And he was a very wonderful person with a beautiful heart, and he always cheered me on in everything I did in life. And we talked about my daughter back then, that I had a daughter, but I wasn't quite sure for sure, 100%. But he was like, well, you know what, Tony, if you do, I'm going to come and support you as well. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to, but he will be able to on a spiritual level. And I know that for a fact because I believe in that. So yeah, all kudos to you, Milo. It's great to see you. You look fantastic, my friend. It's good to have you back after 2 weeks. Thank you, Milo. Back to you.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you very much. Yeah, it is. The things we're going to be able to do is amazing, you know, and family first, you know, and taking care of what you need. But after that, we've got a big world out there that needs us, you know, and whatever it is, whatever your passion is, that's what we want to talk about today, because I love talking with people about their different passions. Everyone's got something different, you know, and there is not a right answer and there is not a wrong answer. And we're all going to do things different. And that's what it's all about. All right, Mr. Roy Davies, come on down and talk to us, brother.
Well, hello, Milo. Glad to see you
doing,
back,
Roy?
my brother. And that was some good sharing you did, you know, about your wife. And, you know, I'm praying for you. And I just, you know, just got a little something to say. Try to make it short and brief. Give everybody a chance to say something. The times came up in life wasn't very good, but I made it because I was once in the mud, praying to God, telling everybody who was down there in the mud along with me to pray that, you know, you would come up out this situation. So you got people that didn't, you know, listen. They just squirm, wallow, squirm, and they just only got deeper into the mud. But I made an effort. Anytime you make an effort to do something, most of the time you're going to succeed. So God reached out his hand, and I was pulling myself up out the mud, and I felt his hand and grabbed myself up out of the mud. He pulled me up on hard land. So I actually told him, thank you, God. You know, and people still squirming. You're going to stay there if you do that. If you got a negative attitude, thought, you're gonna stay there. So my whole thing in life now, it ain't about the glamour and glory. I'm excited where ONPASSIVE is at now. Really excited. But it don't pressure me none because I know it's here and we made it. And the only thing we just gotta do is just hold on a little bit more longer till everything get manifest the way it's supposed to be and everything gonna be all right the rest of our life. And for my legacy and people remembering me, I'm leaving a legacy, for my family because I don't want them to, have to go through bad times in their lives. If they handle this right when I'm dead and gone, they won't because this shit's gonna last forever. And for people remembering me, I don't really care if people remember me. I want to remember myself and what I do while I'm on this earth right now. As I look at news about other countries and how the little babies and people just dying because of lack of water and food and all that kind of stuff, I just couldn't look at it. I have to turn it off because I begin to start tearing up. So that's my whole thing. When I get my family together, get myself together and everything is all right, that's what I want to do. Go to other countries and I want to meet these type of people and I want to be able to make a big difference in their life. And I just want to get down on my knees and just hug about 5 or 6 kids at one time. And I know they'll probably be crying. They probably won't be crying no worse than me. So I thank Ashma Farah. Thank God for giving him the heart that he have to help all of us and ONPASSIVE. It's going to change all of our lives. And that's all I can say. And thank you, Michael.
That was beautiful, Roy. I love your heart, man. I love it. And it is so true, exactly what you said. I want to expound on some of that a little bit. We can stay where we're at if we want to. But remember, life is all about perspective, I believe. In other words, I remember seeing a post once and I loved it. It was a meme. And it had a picture of, you guys might have seen it before. It had a log going out into kind of like a bay, and there was a little bit of a part in there, a bay type thing that was away from the water. And there was 12 seagulls sitting on that pole. 11 of them was facing out to the open water where it was real rough and choppy and everything. And one was turned and he was looking into the bay where it was just all nice and smooth because the tree was blocking those waves from coming in or whatever. And the post above it said, life is all about perspective. And it's so true. It's how you see things. How do you want to see things? You can take the worst situation and you can change it by perspective, knowing that, it could be worse. In other words,
yes.
You got something go wrong in your life right now. You look at it and say, you know what? I don't have cancer. I don't have this. I can breathe. And all of a sudden it makes you feel better. Or you can stay in the mud, like you said, and wallow around in it. But that's not what it's all about. And I love the part you said about the dash. In fact, I was going to talk about the dash. It's a good time to talk about it right now. It's all about the dash. It really is. I mean, you have a birthday and you have an end date. But what you do in between at that dash, that's what's important. That's what's important. So when I think of my wife, Peggy, she was born on September 19th, 1957, and she died on October 12th, 2012. But in between there, I can tell you she affected so many people's lives because I hear of them even now. I remember walking in to the president of the owner of the corporation that she used to work for on Christmas right after she had passed away. I went to see all the girls and stuff there. And so I walked in and Mr. Lang said, come on in. And it was this Yeah, I mean, it's a magnificent office. He had these huge doors, this big fluffy furniture. And he said, close the door. I closed the door and I sat down. And he was about 90 years old at the time. And he looked with tears in his eyes and he said to me, he says, I miss that little girl every day. And I said, well, that's two of us. And he said, she used to come. And he says, there were days where I didn't even want to get out of bed, but I got out of bed and I come to work only because she was there and she was the male person and she was very animated. So he said she'd walk in the door and say, hey, Mr. Lang, how you doing today? You know, and talk about the sun shining and this and that. Stuff like that encourages people to be better, you know. And so that's all good. That's all about the dash. That's what you do with your life. That's how you live your life, you know. And I can tell you, if you're happy, you know, it's going to show. It's going to exuberate through other people, and other people's going to be happy. They're going to want to be around you.
Yes.
I don't like to be around negative people. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're a negative person, you're probably not going to see me around too much because I don't want someone that's always, you know, this is going wrong and man, this is going wrong. And all of a sudden you think, man, I don't know if it's other people that is going wrong with you because it seems like it's always you, you know, and you try to help those people. But if they don't want help, I move on. That's me. But, anyway, thank you so much for bringing that up, Roy. I'm glad, you know, that you talked about the dash and about life and how it is. And we are in a credible moment in our lives. I'm telling you right now, I don't think any of us know how big this is and where it's going to be. But we need to start putting a goal together. We need to start thinking, okay, what are we going to do with it? You know, how are we going to do it? All of that's important to us, and it's going to make. We're going to have a wonderful life. We're going to have, you know, I'm just all excited. I don't even have words to say.
Yeah, but you know what, MILO? Before I go, when someone or something happens that makes a big impact on humanity, they're going to be remembered for decades.
Absolutely.
You know, some people might not think of it, don't take it as nothing, but it's gonna be a lot of people gonna remember it. You know, like Ashma Farah. They're gonna remember Ashma Farah for decades and decades and decades. And what you do on other humanity life, a big impact on their life, they're gonna remember it. So that's all I have to say.
Absolutely. That is so true, you know, and I'm sure all of you have seen the video with Steve Jobs, and you know about him on his deathbed. And this should wake some people up, you know. Steve Jobs said on his deathbed, he says, you know, he said, I wish I would have been better. He said, I wish I would have been nicer to my employees. I wish I would have treated my employees better. I wish I would have treated humans better. The whole thing. He says, you know, here I am. I'm laying here and I've got this terrible disease and I've got all of this money, but I have no one that I can pay to take it. That's a big statement right there. That should wake us all up because I'm telling you, all of us are going to have a whole lot of money and we can be greedy with it. You know, we can keep it all if we want to ourselves. You know, that it's our right if we want to do that. Personally, that's not what I want to do. I want to give mine out. I want to help humanity. I think this is the most beautiful thing in the world. That I've always wanted to do it, but I never had the resources to do it. Now, I remember me and Peggy, some of our I don't want to say fights, but some of our things was she grew up very, very poor. And so when we did very well, she would give to anybody. Anything that she had, she would give. And I would say, Peg, it's okay. I love to give, but you have to have something in the funnel. I says, it's got to be coming in before you can push it out. The story I like to tell about her was she would always go out rummage selling. That was her big thing. She loved to go out and buy whatever for different people, and she never bought for herself. She bought for everyone else, and she'd have them come over and give them these things and clothes and shoes and everything. But one day, her and her sister had went, and her sister would always laugh when she'd come back because I'd be downstairs working. I was downstairs working this Saturday, and she comes back. She says, "Hey, come here! You got to see what I bought." I said, "Peg, I'm busy." She said, "Come here! You got to see what I bought." I said, "All right." So I go up there, and she's jumping around like she always did. She said, "Come on!" And her sister's just laughing her butt off. And we had this little car. It was she had a little sports car. I think it was, I don't even remember what it was, a Sunburst, or maybe it was a Mazda or whatever. But anyway, she had went out, and so we go out, and her sister's just laughing because she knows what it is. It had dark tinted glasses. So we went out, and she opens the trunk. I've never seen so many pairs of shoes in my life. That trunk was filled with brand new shoes. I mean, there was sandals that were size 3. There were boots that were size 12. I'm looking at this and I go, "Peggy, what are you thinking?" She said, "What?" I said, "Who are these for?" She says, "I don't know, but I'll find someone." And I'm like, "Oh man."
Yeah, she has
And
a heart.
she goes, she bought the whole store out. It was Elder Bierman was going out business or something. She bought every one of the pair of shoes because they were 90% off. Not only was the trunk filled, I didn't know it at the time, but the whole back seat was full of shoes too. And she gave every one of them up, but she would always bring that thing and she'd go, look how much I saved, and they always would circle it in red. She'd say, "Look how much I saved." I said, "Peg," I told her one time, I said, "Peg, I tell you what, you keep saving us all that money, we're going to go broke," and I'd laugh about it. But she was just a good person and good-hearted like that, so, I mean, that's life, that's what it's all about. And now, I'll be able to do stuff like that. I wish she was around to enjoy it because I know she would love it. She'd be out, she wouldn't have any limits. Ash says there's no limits to it. So, but anyway, she's still there with my daughters and all that. One of my daughters is just like her. So anyway, next up, we got Miss Amy Radecki all the way from South Haven, Michigan. Come on down, girl, and talk to us.
Hey, Milo. Hey, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate you guys. So I'm not going to really say anything new from what all you have already said. But I do have a son that went to heaven, and he did die from leukemia. And so I have a special place in my heart for little children and parents that are going through an illness. And not all of them pass away, but mine did. And so my heart is to help other parents that have little children that are going through whatever kind of cancer there is. So I don't want to lose myself here, but there are so many things that we're going to be able to do. Like you said, Milo, the sky's the limit. Ash said that. He said, make a list and make it again because it's not big enough. So I'm looking forward to be helping my own family. We have 8 kids and 5 grandkids and be able to set them all up. But I definitely want to help people that have children with cancer. And there's so many other things, but I'll let it go for there. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely, Amy. That is a beautiful heart. And when you watch people go through cancer with children, and I remember when Peggy was going through, there was a little boy in St. Joe that he didn't have leukemia, but it was some form of cancer. And to watch him deteriorate and the family, I don't care where you are. Cancer is no respecter of person. I don't care if you got a lot of money, you don't have any money. It doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you, cancer will take a toll on you, And fortunately, you can use it as a motivation or whatever for living, you know, and know that, hey, you're living, and be thankful that you're that, you know, which, you know, I love what you're saying about how you're going to help people. And I want to be involved in some of that also, you know, because anytime someone's sick or whatever, you know, it's tough, man. And you just hate for people that no one should have to go through that, where that, you know, just costs, I mean, millions and millions of dollars. Peggy's was over 2.7 million. Go ahead, Amy.
One more thing, you just reminded me, after he passed away, and all of that, we had to file bankruptcy. We lost our house. We lost both of our cars, the family business, everything was gone. And so I've been at rock bottom, and I'm looking forward to being able to help other people that are at rock bottom. And thanks, Ash. Thank you, Ash.
Yep. And Amy, I believe that too. I was very fortunate that I didn't lose everything. I could have very easily. But because I was at the same place. I mean, my mortgage didn't get paid one month, and I remember the bank calling me, and I'm like, 1 month and you're calling me? Are you kidding me? You know, and talking about, well, they could take the house and whatever. Well, hey, you do whatever you got to do, because what's important to me right now is not that house, you know. And so I was very blessed that I didn't. And, you know, when she passed away, I had life insurance and was able to pull out of it. But I mean, I'm still not where I was, but I'll get back there, you know. Actually, I'll go way above, you know, with this ONPASSIVE. And I am so blessed also, like you and all of us here, that Mr. Ash Mafaro did come up with this. And what an amazing thing that we have. It's just going to change humanity. It's going to change life. It is going to be the correction to the corruption. All right, next up we got Mr. David Otto. Come on down, brother.
Hello, how's everybody today?
Good. How you doing, David?
Great. When you brought up the subject of cancer, I've got a really good friend, and I got him to register. Unfortunately, he can't come up with the entrance fee. It's like Canadian, and I can't do it. But he's got cancer. He's got a family of 8 kids. He's working, and sometimes he misses work. And the last time they read in the Riot Act, where before they told him, like, oh, no problem if you need time off, this and that. But, you know, he's going through a really rough patch, and like, he's pending right now. So if I believe I can still like get him in if I can get the funds to pay it. So like, I mean, I had cancer. I was lucky because it stayed in one spot for like 7 years, and it came out to be a tumor, and it broke the surface, where if it would have gone the other way, I wouldn't be here right now. So I just wonder, like, if there's somebody could help me, you know, get him paid so that he's got this. Because I mean, I don't know how much longer he's going to have, but like, it's something for his family if he goes away. So.
Right, Dave. Dave, one thing about it, remember the founders are all done now, basically, other than pending founders. But if you get him in right before, which is going to be very inexpensive for all of us to do, you know, when your apples start coming in from day one or whatever, you know, you don't need that much to get him in. And if by chance you don't have it, man, get a hold of me. You know, once it launches, I'm strapped out right now, so I wouldn't be able to help you at all. But I plan on helping all kinds of cancer patients later. So if you start a fund for him or something, let me know. I'll put a spot under.
Okay, so even though he registered before it closed, it means that there's still a chance he could get in, or no?
If you is he a pending founder?
Yes.
if he's a pending founder, he can, if he can come up with the money, he can. But what I'm saying, if he doesn't, that's not a lost cause, because all I would say is that time when it, we get the products and we're able to give out the free products to people. And then I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but say if it's maybe a reseller, he could come on as a reseller, but it's important. Whenever he gets in is fine, but whoever gets in before that initial rush, or if you get in on day one, you're going to be way ahead of the masses. And so you're going to do very well.
Okay, thanks a lot.
That helps.
Yeah.
All right.
For sure.
All right. Let's see. Do we have anyone else? Man, I can't believe there's no one else. No hands up. Come on, y'all. I'm looking for hand. There we go. All right, Lystra. Man, we have a bunch of Canadians on here. I think the last 4 or 5 people were Canadians. All right, Lystra, come on down and talk to us, girl.
Hello, I don't know if I should. After listening to your story, it's so close to mine. I lost my husband the same way. And it was a long, painful, sad journey. And yeah, after a while, the pain leaves you, but you don't forget. I don't know how you feel, but I know you don't forget. It's as though it happened just yesterday. And I was left with 2 young boys. And that was very hard. But I had family who were there to help me, which was, amazing. That was so amazing. And also, the church I was in then, the members were incredible. They came home to see me. They brought meals. They brought cash. They were just amazing. So when I was able to return, I gave everything I could to that church. I helped wherever I could, in the Sunday school, the children's groups, in the kitchen if they needed help. I mean, I was so blessed by them that I wanted to bless them in return, and that felt good. So to this day, I give to Cancer Research monthly. It makes me feel good. I know it's an ongoing thing, and it's not really moving the way we would like to see it move, to find some resolution to this terrible disease. But I feel good that I can help someone, because I know a lot of people, I read the stories that's sent to me afterwards. Some people do recover, and I take solace in that. At least it's helping some, So yeah, so I will keep on helping where I can, because I was blessed by a lot. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. I can't say any more right now. Thank you all.
Thank you, Lystra. Thank you, Lystra. I understand what you say, and I was in the same way. I was blessed so much, even though my wife was very inspirational to the whole thing. I mean, I hate to say this, but there was times that she lifted me up when I should have been lifting her up. She was the one sick, and sometimes I was the one complaining about it. She never complained once. But we also had a church family that they brought meals, they brought things. I got to tell this one little story. I remember one month, it was tough, and I remember pulling up to the drugstore and to get her medicine, and it was one of the only medicines they were going to try. They had tried everything else, and I had great insurance. I mean, I had the best insurance you can have. And I pulled up there and I got the thing of medicine and they gave it to me and they said it's $800 and something, $832. And I go, no, I said, I got insurance. And I'll never forget the look on the girl's face. She says, I know. She said, but that's the copay. I go, are you serious? Yeah, that's the copay. Now, there was people that I know could have never made that happen. I made it happen, but I didn't have money for the mortgage that next day. But I'll never forget. I never told anyone even this story. So one of came home from church, and on the door there was an envelope. I opened it up and it had a card, thinking of you, with $1,000. I mean, so was I blessed? I was so blessed. I was so blessed. I know there's people that, that doesn't happen to, but it happens to me, and I'm just the most incredibly blessed. And people have said, it's too bad you had to go 5 years with your wife with this cancer. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. That was the most 5 incredible years of my life.
Yes, exactly.
That woman inspired me, to unbelievable things, Lisa. And yes, we had to go through that, but oh my God, the memories that it made, and I just, my heart breaks for you that you had to go through it with young children. When I did it, I had grandchildren. The grandchildren back then, that was back when, FaceTime and stuff. I don't even know if FaceTime was about there, but there was something else, Skype. And we set up Skype in her room. And every morning, those little grandchildren, I think they were 6 and 4 years old, would get on the video and they would sing, "You Are My Sunshine" to Peggy. And I mean, just made incredible memories, and so I'm just blessed. I get all choked up. Let me move on here.
Oh, that's all right. It happens. This is the thing with me. I had to stop there, but I know what you mean. He was stronger than I was.
Yeah.
He was stronger than I was. And he told me, he says, I want you to go ahead and live your life, meet somebody else, be strong. And you wonder where the strength comes from, but they know where they're going, right?
Absolutely.
We're here.
Absolutely.
So yeah, but anyway, my kids are grown up. They have children of their own, and my life is full now, so I'm out to help others.
Oh, and it's, Elithra, I know you probably feel just like me because you know what it's like to go through it. So when you're able to give someone help, it's going to be incredible. I mean, I can't tell you, that's a huge passion of mine. And the other thing you said was churches. I believe that churches, are an arm that reaches out into community. And I plan on working with churches and helping churches to, because I want churches to be able to help cancer patients. I want churches to be able to help musicians and different people in life. I want them to be able to help foreign missions where they go over someplace else and they maybe sponsor a missionary who then will sponsor all these other people underneath it and grow this thing to a big thing where they can have clean water, they can have shoes, they can have food to eat. Some of them, don't even know anything about, they've never had internet. They don't know anything about a phone. They don't know about banking. All they do is they know that they get out there and they garden or whatever they do,
Yeah.
It's going to be such a blessing for us to be able to help these people out and to present, and the thing is, like I said, we're changing the world one person at a time. And it started with Ash Mafaro. Ash Mafaro started this thing, and now there's a 1,000,005 of us that are saying, hey, we want to do the same thing. And when we can help some other people, and as I was saying, like even with a missionary, we go into a country that's never even heard anything about it before, or whatever, that are poor and don't have good water and stuff like that. And we go in there and we help a person that's in there trying to help them, and all of a sudden it expands and expands. It's going to change countries, people. It will change countries, and it will be the correction to the corruption. It's something that I love. All right. Thank you so much, Lysra. I loved hearing your story, and I'm sorry for breaking down, you guys, but sometimes.
Hey, listen, it's natural. It happens
Yeah.
all the time. Don't be sorry. It happens to me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Milo.
It does. Hey, thank you. All right, Mr. Alan G from South Africa, come on down, brother.
Hi, Milo.
Hey, Alan.
Thanks for the fantastic show. My wife also passed from cancer in 2012. She had lung cancer and also suffered terribly with it. One of the things that I found that the doctors only believe in chemotherapy, and there's so many alternative methods that are available. I'm going to try and promote alternative treatments for cancer besides chemo. There are other things out there that work, and that's what my main focus is going to be on the cancer side. As I say, there are alternative. Well, I did quite a bit of research on alternative methods, and there were things that would work, but the doctors wouldn't even consider it. So it's actually very discouraging when you get that type of response.
Yep.
The cancer, the chemo actually is worse than anything else.
Absolutely.
And it costs an arm and a leg at treatment.
Absolutely.
I was fortunate at the time I had medical insurance, and they covered for 1 year, and she lasted exactly 1 year from the time that she had was diagnosed with it. They found it was stage 4 already when they found it.
Yeah, it's I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I know it's terrible to go through. On the brighter side, one of the things also where I am in Africa here, we have what we call townships where the blacks are staying, but they're very, very poor in this very poor area. Some of them live in like a shack type of thing with no water, no electricity, nothing. It's about 2 meters square or 4 meters square that they live in. And sometimes they have like 4 or 5 kids living in the same space. So, it's very, what I'm looking for to do is also when 3D printing becomes available, to go and start building houses for that type of community, build communities with those 3D printing houses. It's one of the things I want to do as well. Anyway.
Yes.
Also, one can't change the past. I always say this: one can't change the past, but you can change your attitude on how you deal with the past. So, when anything in life, if something bad happens, you say, okay, fine, it's happened, but I can't do anything about what's happened. You can change how I deal with it in the future. So that's another thing that I always say: change your attitude to what's happened to the past. If you have a grudge with somebody, forgive them, forgive yourself. You give yourself permission to forgive, and let them. You don't have to befriend them, but so it doesn't eat you up. Because if you have a grudge against somebody, you're eaten up by the whatever's going on, but they live their life normally. They don't even know that you're so upset. They know you're upset with them, but they don't worry. You don't speak to them for I don't know how many years. And so if you give yourself permission to forgive, you don't have to actually befriend them and say, but you give yourself permission to forgive them for what they're supposed to have done to you, and then you can move on with your life.
Absolutely, absolutely, Alan. That's a great piece of advice. Hey, look, I'm going to tell you, there is not one of us in here, not one of us, that agree with everything that anyone in here. So, in other words, if you take 2 people in here, I guarantee you there is something that they don't agree on. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Why can't we just love people, and get along and, yeah, forgive if they say something, hey, you don't have to agree with what they say, it doesn't matter, just try to get along. And I think we will see a change come about in that, because I believe a lot of stuff is all driven over money and greed, and when that becomes, it doesn't matter, you got all you need, they got all they need, whatever, do whatever you want, you know what I'm saying? And we don't have to judge, we don't have to do anything. If we can just go about doing good. The thing about it is, if we could just do one good thing a day, can you imagine? That's 1.5 million good things that would be done every day right now. That will change the world. But guess what? When this thing launches and 1 million are coming in a day, and we're still doing one good thing a day, all of a sudden it becomes 2 million and 3 million and 8 million and 10 million. And all of a sudden, man, it's just all about good and people loving other people. And I think that's where we want to be. Thank you so much, Alan G, for your advice there. That's great. All right, we got next up Mr. Modu, and I bet you he's working.
Indeed, Mr. Milo, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just entered the building where I start my 3 to 11 shift. But I say, let me say some few words, Thank you very much for what you've been doing for us. My thanks is always goes to Mr. As, because the reason why I've been working hard since I came into this country is because of my family. I was born in Sierra Leone, West Africa, and I came from a large family. I have about 11 siblings, and out of those siblings, they have over 200 kids. And all of them look up to me. So that's why I always work every day, morning and evening. And when I got this opportunity, I know my dream will be realized. And when these apples start coming, those are my first concern. I'll make sure I take care of them, make sure all my siblings had their individual houses, and then make sure the community where I born, I create changes, and then move on to the whole country. So that's why I'm always thankful to Mr. Ash, for giving me this great opportunity. And I also thank you all for enlightening me, organizing these webinars that made me to know more about my opportunity. So that's the only thing I have. So I know if I do that, I will leave a legacy for life, because having been able to help my family to change their situation, and then look out of my community where I was born and the country as a whole, I know my legacy will be remembered 1,000 million years to come. So thank you very much. I don't have much to say. I just finished doing my rounds when I came at the back here, and thank you. You called me at the right time. Thank you very much, Mr. Milo. But please don't disappear on us again. Miss Lynn and others have been doing a great job for us. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Momodu. And yes, you are. You will be your legacy will be a long-lived, and that dash in between.
Yes.
What you did, what you do for everyone, that is what's going to be remembered. It's not necessarily when you were born or when you were died.
No.
There's nothing in between. But if there's something in between that makes a difference in the world, people are going to remember you. That legacy is going to live on. I love it. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for coming all the time. Okay, we've got.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me, Milo. Can I
Yes,
interject?
absolutely.
Someone today talked about a family where the dad is very, very ill. So I wondered if that person could raise their hand because we have a good Samaritan that wants to help that specific family privately. So could I have that person raise their hand again before I miss this opportunity and the webinar ends?
Okay.
It was David Otto. David, was that you?
Yeah, David had someone that wanted to.
Yes. it was
Okay,
me.
David, do you have my messenger? Do I have you on messenger so we can connect? Someone wants to help that family.
Okay. I've got Facebook and Messenger.
Okay, okay, I'll look for you. I guess I should be able to find you. Why don't you just direct message me in the chat if you don't mind, a personal message with your phone number, and we'll connect. Okay, so I can connect you to the helper.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lynn.
Thank you, Milo, for your patience.
Thank you.
Perfect. I love that. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. And that is what this is all about. Thank you, Lynn, for bringing that up. And thank you, David, for bringing it up. And that's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. Okay, let's go now to Abdi. Abdi, come on down and talk to us.
Hello, Milo. How are you today?
Good. How you doing, Abdi?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to say something here today. And thank you all the leaders here and the founders and everyone around the world. Yeah, we was very much touching your story. I was listening on the Lista and Alan and all that have some family members, and I know. I mean, I didn't have experience similar to that, but in general, I want to talk about the helping hand. Helping hand and what we have in our hands and what our CEO has given us. Since I was a young man, I always was the one who was giving. You know how when you are a young man and then you have a group of people, friends together, you know, and I was the one who always, if I have anything, I never know how to hide it. You know how kids had your pocket money sometimes, and then you try to use others. I always see when someone asks me something, like I think in my mind like they know what's in my pocket. So I'm more like sort of like that person who always wanted to give. And since I joined ONPASSIVE and listened a couple of webinars of Mr. Ash, my mindset totally changed. It was first like I needed, like I need to have like those apples. But then as time goes by, I feel like, the excitement is more like I want to really help, I want to really, and especially my story is similar to my brother Mamadou before me. I'm from Somalia, and as we all know, Somalia is a country who had a civil war for quite some time, and a lot of displacement and things like that. And I don't have a particular subject or ideas to help because there's so many directions for that to help me with my apples. But I created so many accounts so I will be able to look after money, but many sectors. But what we do really have here is amazing. This is something that a mankind has never seen before, and it really excites me. Like almost every second night or 3 nights, whatever, I see in my dreams I'm giving away. I don't know what I'm giving, but I can see I'm making smiling faces on my dream, and that reflects exactly what I'm waiting at the moment. I'm looking for, and I said, oh yeah, that must be what's coming. The reason why. I mean, even though the dream itself it's a night dream, it's a sleep dream, so it doesn't actually perfectly explain. But I can see it was someone thanking me and someone saying thank you, and someone was happy. So, and that's exactly what I'm thinking. It's like my excitement is I cannot wait to receive this apple so I can have it. So many people's life changed. And especially in Africa, you don't need so many things to change someone's life. It's like, a family of 4 will be able to basically sustain their livelihood, put the food on the table, maybe even $200 a month. So I would be able to really impact a lot of people with my big apples. I know that, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm really excited, and I cannot thank enough Mr. Ash Mafara and his family for the opportunity that they have given so many people and so many of us, 1.5 million. Imagine how many of us who will be able to distribute for this generosity from our CEO. And I'm really happy, and I'll thank you, Milo, and the rest of the brothers and sisters here.
All right.
We are really in a good spot, and I'm really glad to be part of it.
All right. Thank you, Abdi. That was good stuff. It is so true. All right. Next up, we got from Florida, Mr. Bruce Gerstein, the one and only. Come on down, brother, and talk to us.
Hello, Milo. Hello, Lynn. Hello, world. Hello, ONPASSIVE. I want to thank you for everything you always do. And it's amazing how somebody reached out to Dave Otto to help him. I didn't put the background up today because I have this yellow bush behind me. And there's an interesting story behind this bush. 2 years ago, it looked like it was dead. And my gardener said, maybe we should take it out. And I said, no, let's prune it because I think there's still life in it. And it's kind of like a good metaphor for ONPASSIVE, because many times people look at there's nothing there. But you have to see inside and say, maybe there's something there. And in 2 years, this thing is now overtaking my tree. It's like a big vine growing. Just like ONPASSIVE is a big vine growing around the world. This beautiful yellow bush flower is enfolding my tree. So I think there's a wonderful analogy. For me, Bless changed the whole world of ONPASSIVE, and I think for a lot of people it did too, because everybody saw a purpose be beyond just making money for themselves. They saw how they could help everybody, and everybody, I believe, wants to help someone. I don't care if it's a farmer, I don't care if it's a little old lady. Everybody wants to help someone, and everybody feels wonderful when they help somebody and somebody says thank you. I'm not looking for the thank yous. I'm looking to serve. And the way I serve is the way the God of my understanding wants me to serve. And that's to serve with, just look at the possibility of this flower. The possibility of every human being is the same. And we all have the potential to grow into things that we don't even know or understand. So ONPASSIVE is the great changer of all things in this world. And I'm a proud founder. I'm proud to be here every day. And things that I want to do. I have a brother I love dearly. He's a marine biologist, and he's been shunned a lot in the field because he's a rebel. And he created warning detection devices for all sea mammals. And he has the patents ready to go, and things change. And I want to see if I can help him develop a research center for himself. That's for my personal friend, my personal brother. But I have many people. My girlfriend is in the Philippines. He got hit with a terrible earthquake, and now they got hit with a typhoon, and they have no money to do anything. And I want to help there. I want to help them with their hospitalizations. I want to help them with their buildings. I want to help them with their water. But I think anywhere people want me to be is where I think I will listen to the God that I have to tell them to direct me to where where all the apples fall and where they go, because I'm not in charge. The God of my understanding is in charge of who I help, how much I help. That's all up to a power greater than myself, loving, compassion, and kind. And the biggest thing of all is always be kind, patient, understanding, and never judgmental towards others. Have no opinion on someone else, and no one will have opinions on you. And I feel good about myself. I feel good about MILO. I feel good about everybody here. And let's keep on going to the top, beyond the top, beyond the top, and beyond the top. We're unstoppable. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Bruce. That was good stuff. I enjoy listening to your heart about who you want to help. And the beautiful thing, man. And you do want to follow whoever, whatever you should do. That's who you should follow and do. The beautiful thing is we'll all be able to do whatever we want to do, more or less. And we're going to have more chances to help people than we've had before. All right, Mr. David Schweitzer, were you hit with that flood at all, David? I know you're kind of around St. Louis, aren't you?
I don't think so. I'm in Kansas.
Oh, Kansas.
Kansas, man.
All right, Kansas.
All right. Hey, yeah, I just want to say that I know how what that's like. I had cancer in my family and stuff, but I lost my mom and cancer, and then my brother had cancer, but my brother's still living. He ended up losing his tongue. You just don't realize how important your tongue is when you go and eat something and you don't have enough to push your food back to your throat. But anyhow, he's doing okay. I mean, he's cancer free right now. But what I want to talk about is that I just want to be able to do thank God for old Bless, help Bless out, and I just want to be able to do good things for the community because I never had that opportunity to do that. And also I want to do good things for the church because the church knows a lot of people that needs help, So just to be in church and have that power and be able to walk over and help them and have that extra little bit of money to go around and help people out that needs help. That's what I'm kind of going for right now on that. But other than that, I just, yeah, and also want to thank Axmanar, what he's done for us and bringing old Bless. But yeah, I understand what that's like, and I tell you what, it's not fun to go through all that. And but anyhow, I want to do good things for the community and also help my church out when they need help. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Perfect. I love that. I love that, David. That's one of my passions too. Like I said, churches, I think because they affect so many people in the community, in any kind of community type action that does that. I want to bless them, because, we might not know who all it is. We're going to have plenty to bless a lot of people, but we can bless multiple people by doing it that way. So I don't see any more hands raised right now, but we've got time for maybe 4 or 5 more. But I want to just talk to you a little bit about that. I would like for you guys to subscribe to my channel. It's called ONPASSIVE MILO. Right now, I just basically got the daily inspiration. I will be putting up us singing at the church tomorrow with my family. I'm also going to bring in a lot of the singing stuff. And also, I'm going to bring in some of the stuff on that channel, that you can see some of the inspiration stuff that Peggy did while she was alive. There's some videos that she did that were just incredible. I mean, right before she passed away, they asked her if she would come up and sing. And so she said, oh, she would love to. Well, she wasn't even strong enough to get up there. We had to basically carry her up to the stage, set her on the stage. She gave her whole testimony about how she was so thankful for what had been done. And she thanked all of her family and me. This was all right before it happened. It was probably one of the hardest times I had to sing. And right after that, we sang a song that I wrote called Jesus is a Shelter in the Midst of Every Storm. And, so I'll be putting a lot of that stuff on. Also, I would like to remind you that if you don't have the Excel sheet, I don't know if you guys remember a year ago or so, I did a show, we talked just like this, and we talked about what is it that we want to help, and we made up different things. And I have that, it's like a cheat sheet. So when you get to it, you put in whoever you want to help, and it's got all different kind of organizations and stuff that kind of trigger your mind for people that maybe you want to help. Because I promise you, if you're not thinking ahead right now, it's going to come up on you so fast that you're not going to be able to just come up with all of those names. You're not going to, it's one of those things where if you're working on it and you work, through a sheet or whatever, and you put the names down, then it's easy to go back and say, oh, okay, well, I do want to help St. Jude Hospital. I want to help the Cancer Foundation. I want to help this church. I want to help, this musician. I want to help, whatever it is that you have. We all are passionate about something. And whatever it is that you have, maybe you want to provide food for the community. You want to provide medical help for people. All of that stuff, you can put in that sheet. So if you don't have that sheet, send me a DM, or if you have my phone number, text me. But if you do, I'll get that sheet over to you so you can start working on it. And there's actually even a video out that tells you how to do it. Here's what you want to do. Click on this one, click on that one, put in the names and stuff. You'll be all set to go. All right, and it's 2:30, so we got 30 minutes left. So we're going to take about 5 more hands, and I see we've got June Buckingham is here. Come on down, girl, and talk to us.
Milo, do you have the URL for your website? I'd like to type it in the chat so people can know what it is, please.
For my YouTube,
for your ONPASSIVE MILO, you said you have a website, right?
No, YouTube.
Oh, YouTube. Okay.
Yeah, just
Let
YouTube.
me. I can find it and I'll post it in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes, I have one, and yes, do that, please. Okay. Thank you, Lynn. I appreciate that. All right, Miss June Buckingham, come on down.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a great day. Thankful for the rain. I didn't have to work. I didn't work today because I don't work in the rain. I don't deliver groceries in the rain. So I was able to come on this webinar, which I am so thankful that I was able to attend. Thank you, Milo, for accepting me to speak. As you see my image that I made put up there on my screen, that is my goal, is get a truck and to have ONPASSIVE put on it and feed the community one at a time. And then with giving out food, because Milo, you gave me a new idea, is put business cards in their packets and have a meeting like once a month in the middle of the month, make sure everybody's bills are paid, have a meeting and introduce ONPASSIVE to the people that I'm donating this food to. But I need somebody to drive the truck because I can't drive one of those big trucks. I'm not going to drive a van. It scares me to death. But, of course, after I take care of my family and everything's taken care of there, and I keep talking about my smile. I cannot wait to get my smile back because my teeth are horrible. And so that is one of my first goals to do is get my smile back. But my next goal is to help feed the community and use your idea, Milo, and have a meeting, get these people to the meeting, and hopefully change their life as a reseller. But that's my goal. I've been writing down plans. Also, I'm also looking into how to incorporate one of my sites and then have the other ones under the umbrella. So everything will be under a corporation. So I'm looking at it as a business side as well. But that's really all I have to say. And Milo, your story got me crying because I lost my mom of lung cancer back in 2005. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. And by the time they did, it was too late. She was in Jersey, and they put a shunt in her, and it went wrong. So they had to fly her to Philly, and that's where she stayed, and that's where she met the Lord. I've never seen anybody pass before, and I swear my grandparents were waiting for her at the gates, because she just sat up in her bed a little bit, and then she had this big old smile on her face, and then she laid down and she was gone. So we felt more at ease, thinking that, grandma and grandpa were waiting for her at the gates. So your story really, touched home today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, June, and I love what you're doing with the food and stuff. And I'm sure there's some that would like to get involved with that. I would be one that would like to, whether I buy a spot so that it helps you feed the communities one at a time, and then even maybe go a step further, whereas if you're giving out business cards and people are really hurting, hey, let's get something together where we can bring them on board. And because remember, we can feed them we can give them a fish, or we can teach them how to fish, and it will help so much as because when we start feeding the world, I love what you're doing. You're taking that first step, and as that builds and builds over time, remember, more people will get involved with it, and it will grow to enormous.
Wouldn't it be so cool to have a fleet? A fleet going
Yeah.
all over the place.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. It would be awesome, man. It would be awesome. And and I like the thing about giving out business cards. I've thought about my thing. I've thought if you ever pulled up to the stoplight, and there's someone on the side of the road, and a lot of times you don't even kind of want to make eye contact with them. I mean, my heart breaks for them. But can you imagine pulling up to the road, and instead of giving them $1 or $2, you give them a card that says, hey, you call this number right here, and we're going to fix you up, and you put them into a spot, and all of a sudden they no longer have to sit on the side of the road to get money, because they're getting it every day. The only reason they would be out there is just because they want to, you know what I'm saying? And
Right.
especially disabled vets, man, that bothers me so much when I see, I'm a disabled vet, and I'm sitting up and I'm like, oh man, it just tears me up. But anyway, thank you so much for what you're doing, June, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Milo. You everyone have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, and next up we got none other than the poet. You don't know it, but his feet surely show it. They're Longfellers. And not only that, this is the guy that takes a picture of me every time I fall asleep in his house. He'll say, my brother come to visit me. He's such a good guy. Oh, none other than Curtis Davis. He does the daily inspiration. He writes them every day, sends them to me, and I put them to music and speak to them. So Curtis, come on down, talk to us. You're muted, Curtis. One other thing, he has his own YouTube channel, Curtis M. Davis. You want to subscribe to that. Kurt, you're muted. You're still muted. And you're still muted. And you're still muted. Oh no, we wanted to hear from you.
Hear me?
There we go. Go ahead, Curtis.
The host had to unmute me.
Oh.
I thought there's a couple things that you didn't tell much about Peggy. If you ever called to talk to Peggy, she never gave you the opportunity to say, how are you? Because she always said, how are you doing? How are you feeling? It wasn't, well, I'm down, I'm this, I'm that. It never was that. And she would give every time anyone went to visit, she had a gift for them to make their day better. I've been thinking about, and a lot of people say, well, I'm going to get cards and give to people just so they can go buy groceries. But I got to thinking, most stores now have a certain time that senior citizens can go shop, and it's before anyone else can get in there. Wouldn't it be great just to go up there and stand at the counter after they've already got their groceries, because they're only going to buy what they need. We give them a card, and they can give it to somebody else, or somebody else can give them a sob story. They'll end up giving away food that they really need. But if you go up there and you stand there when they are actually shopping and take and say, okay, we've got this, y'all have a blessed day, and give them the opportunity then to join on passive, that would be awesome. Also, another thing that really gets to me is the special needs children. And I would like to set up a big place where the special needs children could go and fish. They could go hunt. You could have people come up and take them fishing, and just enjoy life with the special needs children. But you know what? On Passive is a great place to be. Um, there's a lot of things that we never thought that we could have, that we've never dreamed as big as we should dream. And when all our dreams come true, you know, what what will we do then? We're going to start blessing everyone else. Thank y'all, and y'all have a great day.
Thank you, Curtis. And some of you might not know this story, but Curtis started writing poems when Peggy got sick. The first time I went in the hospital, all of a sudden I get this beautiful poem. And I said to Curtis, I said, Curtis, where did you get that poem? He said, I wrote it. I said, you didn't write that poem. He said, I wrote that poem. I said, Kurt, you did not write that poem. And so after arguing with him for a while, I said to him, I said, well, write another one tomorrow. So guess what he did? The next morning, I had another beautiful poem. And I said to him again, I said, Curtis, where in the world are you finding these beautiful poems, that you're sending to me? He said, I wrote it. I said, no, you didn't. And he had never wrote one, I don't think, in his life. At least I didn't know about it. And I said, you didn't write that. He says, yes, I did, Marlon. I said, Curtis, no, you didn't. And he doesn't always tell me the truth, right? Well, at least that's what I say. But anyway, I said to him, so I made this statement on the second day. I said, Kurt, write me another poem. Guess what happens? He writes me another poem on day 3, but he included things from day 1 and day 2. There's no way that he didn't write the poem, and I knew that at that point. And I'm like, I said, Kurt, you wrote that poem. He said, yeah, I've been telling you, I wrote all of them. He wrote a poem every day that Peggy was in the hospital. We had a poem. We had a poem that was written to us every day. When we were in the hospital, Kurt just wrote a poem. Now he's doing it with daily on passive, inspiration. He does an inspirational poem every day. I told him, I said, you got to be consistent. He has been consistent. I think he's up to almost 600 poems now, isn't it, Kurt?
Yeah, real close to 600.
600 poems. So subscribe to his channel. You never know what he's going to inspire you about, but it's cool. It's only a 2-minute poem. You can listen to it over coffee in the morning, and it'll make your day. But it's good stuff. Thank you, Kurt, for always being there for me. All right, and it's about time to close it down. I guess we don't have time for any more. It's a quarter till. So I want to thank everyone that was on the show today. You guys made the show. Every one of you, your incredible stories that you told. Thanks for listening to my story. And it's just a wonderful place. I want you to know where we are right now. You cannot believe what a wonderful place it is and where we are going and where we're going to go. But I want to thank all of you, every one of you, for coming to the show. Because remember, if you was not here, there would be no show. And it wouldn't, you guys are the ones that make the show. I'm glad that I'm able to fill in and help out. But also, I like to thank our co-host that's here today, Miss Lynn Nakamoto. She's every place. Come down and say something to us, girl.
Milo, this was a beautiful show. It was really special. It touched my heart, and I know it touched other people's hearts as well. So keep doing what you're doing, Milo. You're awesome.
Thank you, Lynn, and you are too. And thank you for coming on. And people might not realize how big a help you are, but you are the one that keeps everything running here and running smooth for me. And I couldn't do it without you. All right. And next up, we got the guy that monitors our chat that's always here. And he was even a host the other week. He's a great guy. Mr. John Barilla. Come on down. Thank you, sir.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Hi, Milo. This was very good today. I had a couple of little distractions here and there, but you touched me too. I'll just say that. Several people did actually. But I just want to say real quick too, a couple of folks in the chat were asking for your spreadsheet. How can I get your spreadsheet?
Okay,
whatever that is.
Yeah, if you want the spreadsheet, you can direct message me at Nashville Milo on Facebook, or if you have my phone number, you can text me.
Okay, hopefully they're hearing that, because several people had asked and I didn't know what to tell them. I did say direct message you on here, but what you're telling them is, now listen, folks, direct message Milo on Messenger, Facebook Messenger. That's the most, because I doubt many of them have your phone number, but they could get you on Messenger.
Right, Nashville Milo. So Nashville Milo. You pull that in.
Thank you.
My picture with Ash pop up, and just ask for it, and I will get it out to you. And maybe Lynn, would it be all right if I sent that link to you and even John, and you can get a hold of any of us, and then you can get it.
Sure.
All right. Sound good? All right. If I knew how to do it real quick, I could just put it in the chat, but I'm not that good at it. So I'm sorry. So you'll have to, yeah. But remember, please subscribe to my channel. I need people. I got like 8 subscribers or something, I think. And I would like to share my stuff. And if you like some of the stuff I do, subscribe to my channel, click the bell, that way you'll get it. Same way with Kurt. If you want his stuff, click or go to Curtis M. Davis on YouTube, and you'll find him there. Subscribe to his channel, and man, we'll be doing wonderful. And if you don't have a YouTube channel, I know Julie's got some videos out that teaches you how to do a YouTube channel. I just have to find the time to finish up mine. Mine's not real, pretty right now, but it will be one of these days. I'll make it. So anyway, is Marty here? Or is any of the other leaders here that maybe we should say something to? Anyone want to? I seen Peter Rogers was here earlier. Peter, are you still here?
We have, he was here. There's Tony Monk and Tina Go.
Okay, Tony, you want to come down and say the last few closing things? We got.
Sure, Milo. Thank you so much for a fantastic webinar. It was very touching. Everybody learned something from this webinar today. We're glad to have you back. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you so much for a very touching webinar. This was very good. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm sure we all enjoyed it.
All right. Thank you for coming on today. And who else did we have? Tina Go?
Tina Go.
Tina, are you there?
You can unmute Tina. She might not be able to unmute, to speak now, but she's there.
Right. I know that it's probably nighttime over where she is. So I see Marcian Himaboo.
All right.
Marcian, say something, Marcian.
Thank you so much, Milo. I love the story, your life. It was really touching, and I learned one thing: I'm not alone. And I know that sometimes we don't look at people's faces and think that they are better off. Your story makes us know that we are not alone. And We just have to keep moving. And thank God we have ONPASSIVE. And it happened that today is a friendship day. So your story come in the right place at the right time, the right day. So thank you for sharing the story, your love story with us, because we are all your friends. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Marcian, and I am so happy to have all the family and friends. And you know, you never know what people are going through. You never know what they've been through. But the cool thing is we've all been through things, and you know, we just move on, and we can help each other sometimes with our stories. I've been asked many times to write a book, and I am going to write a book because there is so much more to that story than what I just told you. So much more to it. And I've even had a publisher want to do a movie on it, a book and a movie, because there's some incredible stuff that I didn't even mention about how the Chicago Tribune picked up my story, because I used to do a daily blog every day, and sometimes I would do it 10 times a day, telling about what was going on. And because it was such a ordeal, because you know, she was only the 19th person in the world to have it, and her ups and downs. And we did videos where I would go up every day on the 11th floor and I would sing to the cancer patient. And I have videos of those. And then days that she felt good, she would come up there. I'll never forget, on my wedding anniversary, she come up there that day. And even though she was in a mask and she was weak and stuff, she come up there and she sang, "Could I have this dance for the rest of my life?" And it was just amazing to watch that. You know, here she is in a mask and she's singing and people are sitting around. And I don't remember, I think that was the song that this lady just come up and just dropped in front of her and said, "That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard," you know. And we were doing nothing more than just giving back, giving of our time. You know, we were happy to be there. We were thrilled that we could be part of that, you know. And so there's just a lot of things that, like I said, and even Kurt said, you know, that maybe I didn't tell, you know, because just a lot goes on in 5 years, over 5 years. But the inspiration, and I thought, as Lystra said, you know, her husband said, "Hey, you got to move on. You got to find someone new." What a great thing to do to someone if you're going through that, you know, and to provide that freedom that a person thinks. That's what Peggy did to me. She would say, "You have to move on." She says, "You got grandchildren, you got this. I'm not going to be around forever. You got to find you someone else. You got to do this and do that," you know. And you know, but just a beautiful thing, and it's a beautiful story. It really is. And you know, and I didn't even get into like when she passed away. You know, she passed away, and there was I gotta hurry up here. But there was a time where, you know, she would always ask, "Did we get any messages?" And I heard the last day of her life, I walked over to the window and I'm looking
Did you
across.
see that chat come up again? It's back again.
All right. And so,
Oh, I'm sorry, I was unmuted. But Milo, what I wanted to tell you is that I have the link to your Facebook profile page in the chat now. So they can just click on it and they'll get to it. Okay,
perfect.
Milo?
There you go. You guys just click on it and then send me a message. So let me finish this real quick. I'm looking over the skylines, and Peggy was already unconscious. She was in a coma or whatever. She'd been on a tube. And I heard her as plain as day say, "Did we get any messages?" Because that's what she would always say to me when she was feeling a little better. And I said, "Oh my God, I'm sorry, Peggy." And so I walked over to her bedside. I rubbed her arm. And I said, "Let me read them to you." I had 109 messages that day for her. Some of them were just praying for you. Some of them were thinking of you. Some of them was maybe this or that. But the thing that I want to tell you is when people are like that, even just saying one little thing to them, it makes a difference, because it brought that whole outside world into me. So sometimes it would be, "Hey, we're thinking of you." And I would say that, and she'd say, "Oh, they're so sweet." And then we would go into memories about us and them, and we would do it. But this particular night, of course, she was in a coma, 109 messages. It took me over an hour to read them. When I finished up, I said, "Well, there you have it, or whatever." And I walked back over to my chair. I sat down and I started looking at the Dallas Cowboys website because I'm a huge Cowboy fan, and it was stuff going on. And so I went back to look at it, and I heard her breathing pick up. I run to the nurse and I said, "Hey, her breathing picked up." And he said, "That's not normal." He said, "It normally," because they had told me, said you'll hear her breathe, and then it'll get less and less, and then it'll go maybe a little bit more, and then it'll go less, and then it'll go more, less, until it's all done. So I'm expecting this to happen. All of a sudden, she's breathing a lot. So I run out and got him, and he goes, "Man," he said, "this is weird." He says, "I don't know." He says, "But you know Peggy," because they all knew Peggy. Peggy had come back many times from where we thought she was dying, And he says, I've never had a cancer patient that I never gave morphine to. He never gave her a bit of morphine. She just laid there with this most peaceful look on her face. And so he walked out. He no longer walked out. And all of a sudden, her breathing got less and less and less. And I got up, put my computer on my chair, took one step to the bed. And by the time I hit the second step, which I was 2 steps away from the bed, she was gone. And it was the most surreal thing. I called my daughter's, my son-in-law says, "We'll be right there." He didn't even ask me what it was. He just said, "We'll be right there." The nurse, I went out and got them. They come in, they said, "Oh, we're going to have to, we'll get her ready, and then your family can meet you." I said, "I don't think that's possible," because I said, "I think they're on their way." They were staying right upstairs at the hospice house. They come busting through the door about then. And, we had our last little thing with her, and it was beautiful. I mean, she just passed so peacefully and stuff. But anyway, there's more to the story. But Facebook, at about that time, they were just coming out. Chicago Tribune picked up my story, and they said, "Try telling this guy that social media doesn't work." So it was all kind of cool, to get noticed like that and stuff. But thank you once again for coming. It is that time that we need to close down. So I appreciate every one of you coming. Remember, if you want that Excel sheet, DM me. I'll get them out to you. I'll get a link to you so that you can have it, and also a video that shows you how to do it. And I appreciate every one of you coming. Thanks again, Lynn. Thanks, John, and everyone else who had a part in it. It's time to go. We'll see you guys next week. Good night from Nashville.
Good night from Canada.
Good night from South Haven,
Good night
Michigan.
from New York City.
Good night from Houston, Texas.
New York City.
Night from California.
Night from
Nice
Canada.
Night
show.
from South Africa.
Good. All right. Ba-ba-da-ba-bum. Good night.
My
It's
Lord.
time to go. Ba-ba-da-ba-bum. Good night, sweetheart.